are watching The World 24/7 on the NDTV network. I'm Parmeshwar Bava. Let's take you through the top stories you need to know. Israel's National Security Advisor says the continuing war on Gaza is likely to last through the end of the year. His remarks came as Israel finds itself increasingly isolated on the world stage, nearly 8 months into the war in Gaza, with even the United States and other close allies expressing outrage over the civilian death toll. In the United Kingdom, the Labour Party is still ahead of the Conservatives in polls as per The Guardian, as the general election campaigning continues. UK's Shadow Trade Secretary Gareth Thomas joins us to talk about the current race, the future of the graduate route visa programme and the future of India and UK's free trade agreement. China is initiating a renewed diplomatic effort in West Asia and North Africa to challenge the influence of the United States in the regions. This week, leaders from Egypt, Bahrain, Tunisia and the UAE are meeting the Chinese leader Xi Jinping in Beijing. S&P Global Ratings raised India's sovereign rating outlook to positive from stable, while retaining the rating at BBB-. Meanwhile, a new report states that climate change added an average of 26 days of extreme heat over the last year. Indian Army Major Radhika Sen has been selected to receive a UN award recognizing her advocacy for women and girls while serving as a peacekeeper. Sharing her experience with NDTV, Major Sen says she has always wanted to serve humanity and India. Well, a big focus. The Israeli military has claimed operational control of the Philadelphia corridor, which is a strip of land which separates Gaza from Egypt. Israeli forces have seized the Rafah crossing with Egypt and areas on the Palestinian side of the corridor this month, prompting outrage from Egyptian officials who said Israel is violating the terms of their 1979 peace treaty. But why is Israel doing this? Well, they say they need control of the corridor to target smuggling tunnels used by Hamas. Meanwhile, Israel's National Security Advisor has also said that he expected military operations in Gaza to actually continue through at least the end of the year. This, many say, appears to dismiss the idea that the war could come to an end after the military invasion in Rafah. But the National Security Advisor said, and I quote, "We expect another 7 months of combat in order to shore up our achievement and realize what we define as the destruction of Hamas and Islamic Jihad's military and governing capabilities." This is what Zachi Hanegbi has told the Israeli public broadcaster. My colleague Mohammad Ghazali has been tracking the latest developments for us. He joins us live at the moment. Ghazali, Israel's military says it has seized control of the entire length of Gaza's border with Egypt, while Israeli bombardment continues in Rafah?
See, if you see the situation in the last 48 to 72 hours, 2 Egyptian soldiers were killed in clash with Israeli forces. Not enough reports or investigation has come out as of now that who was responsible or what exactly happened near the Israel-Egypt border near the Rafah region of Gaza City. And now we see that Israel says that it has taken the complete control of the Philadelphia corridor, a kind of no man's land between Egypt and Israel's border in Gaza. Another statement coming out, like a national security advisor saying that it will take around 7 months or the war may go on for further 7 months. Certain key takeaways from all these developments. One, that perhaps Israel has not been able to achieve one of its most key targets of this war is to dismantle Hamas. Another report appeared in the Western media suggesting that perhaps Israel has only managed to kill around 30 to 35 fighters of Hamas, yet their tunnels are intact. Most parts of the tunnels which run in the Gaza area, Gaza Strip, remains intact. And now Israel claims that perhaps the Hamas has also been operating from the Gaza Strip through tunnels with Egypt. So in one way or the other, it is very significant that how Israel is behaving with Egypt, one of its oldest allies in the Arab world. It was the first country to have normalized its ties with Israel in 1979 through Camp David Accords. Now, Israel has been attacking the Rafah border not just in the last few weeks, but even during the start of the war. And even then, Egypt has objected to attack on the Rafah border or that international border between the two countries. And now, openly, Israel is saying that perhaps Egypt is also complicit with Hamas for operating those underground tunnels. And it says that it has found certain tunnels beneath the international border between Israel and Egypt. So we'll have to see that how Egypt reacts to it. Unpleasant comments are coming out of Egypt due to Israel's behavior or the way Israel has taken control of that border. Egypt also happens to be a key mediator between Israel and Hamas and also during this ongoing war. So perhaps most of the Arab countries, including Egypt, are claiming that if the offensive in Rafah or the Gaza Strip continues, it will also hamper the hostage negotiation deal.
Thanks so much, Ghazali, as always, for joining us with the latest information. With that, let's turn our attention now to the UK, where the general election campaign won't be about Brexit. Opposition leader Keir Starmer has made sure of that. But could the widely expected result, a new Labour government, take the UK and EU's relationship to the next level? Well, that's certainly the scenario many in Brussels are now actively preparing for. But currently in the United Kingdom, the Labour Party is still ahead of the Conservatives in polls as per The Guardian, as the general campaign continues. In fact, the latest Sky News poll indicates that the Labour Party is actually, their lead is growing. Well, UK's Shadow Trade Secretary Gareth Thomas is with us on the World 24/7 to discuss the current race in the UK, the future of the graduate route visa programme, and the future of India and UK's free trade agreement. Thank you so much, Mr. Thomas, for joining us. As we speak, the Labour Party has extended its lead over the Conservatives. You managed to maintain a double-digit lead over the Conservatives, but this is as far as the polls are concerned. So how hopeful are you that the British public will repose their faith in your party after over a decade, 14 years? What is it that Keir Starmer and the Labour bring to the table that Rishi Sunak and his Tories haven't been able to?
Well, my sense is that the British people are sick and tired of 14 years of the Tories, but not one of them has yet voted in this election. So I don't think there's anything that we can take for granted. And there have been plenty of elections in the UK in the recent past where apparent big poll leads have actually ended up producing very close election results. 2017, famously, and 1992, similarly, famously bad results for my party. So, whilst we're obviously encouraged by the poll leads, we're not taking anything for granted. In terms of what Keir Starmer would bring as Prime Minister, I think he's changed the Labour Party in a very fundamental way. From 5 years ago when Labour had its worst result since 1930 in the UK. We are very clear we want a stronger relationship with India. We know that India is set to be the third largest economy by 2030, and we see plenty of opportunities for British businesses to work with Indian businesses to create jobs in both our countries. And we think that India's interest in championing new green technologies is definitely another area where we can work together, because I think climate change is one of the big generational challenges that both our countries face. And frankly, we need to work together on that. And I hope Keir Starmer will bring, or I know he'll bring, a determination to that agenda, which has been lacking under Rishi Sunak.
But it's interesting to note the UK's interest in working with India. The big question is it likely to materialize into a free trade agreement? Under the Tories, there have been several rounds of talks, but no FTA. In fact, to cite some crucial figures, the UK actually, the combined turnover of Indian-owned companies in the UK has more than doubled from £19 billion in 2014 to about £50.5 billion in 2023. The top Indian-owned companies in the UK are significant employers in the market. Where do you see this relationship headed? Is it fair to expect an India-UK FTA under Labour's leadership within the next 2 calendar years, if things are looking up for you on the 4th?
Well, we've learnt from watching the Tories promise to do a free trade agreement by Diwali, and that was 2 years ago, that negotiations can have bumps in the road. But we're certainly keen to look at where the negotiations have got to and what the remaining problems are. And if a deal can be done, we're keen to do it. Because, as I say, we're absolutely certain we want stronger trade links with India. A lot of my constituents are from Gujarat, and that's obviously one of India's fastest growing states. So given those diaspora connections exist already, it seems silly not to try and use those links to build even stronger ties with India.
Well, the other big issue is the graduate route visa program. We know it's here to stay for now, but post the 4th of July, the Labour Party manifesto does not explicitly state your party's take on it, whether it'll be abolished or retained as it is. And official statistics have raised concerns as Indian students show signs of being deterred from applying to British universities. In fact, we've seen a 4% drop in applications. How does the Labour Party plan to fix this? Is this a priority for your party? And is the Labour interested in retaining the graduate route visa program as it is?
Well, we have no plans to abolish the graduate visa scheme. You know, we'll look at every aspect of the immigration system when we get into government, because we want things to work far better than they have at the moment. We're also very conscious that higher education is one of our top routes for earning income and creating jobs here in the UK. And so it is a concern that numbers of applicants from India and from other countries have dropped in terms of coming to the UK, because we're, in a sense, shooting ourselves in the foot by, in a sense, trying to kill off one of our most important export industries, higher education. So definitely keen to tighten up the immigration system, absolutely, but also keen to make sure that we're not cutting off, in a sense, opportunities for people to come and study at world-class institutions here in the UK.
Right. As we wrap, as far as the optics are concerned, Rishi Sunak has been regarded as a rich brat. His £300 Prada loafer sent Daily Mail into a tizzy. Now his £750 Tumi backpack is all over the news. He is one of the most wealthy people to call number 10 Downing Street home. But Keir Starmer, on the other hand, some Tories have attacked Starmer's age. They've called him Sir Sleepy. I know your colleague Wes Streeting has said Keir Starmer would take Rishi Sunak's ankles out in a second on a football pitch. But what do you have to say about the perception battle in the election so far? Is it a fair assessment?
Well, I've seen Keir Starmer in many different guises, and he's passionate. He's fun. He's got a good sense of humour. He's a huge Arsenal fan, I'm delighted to say, as well. But he's very determined as well. He's very disciplined, and he's very collegiate as well. So, you know, I think you're going to see a lot of determination and a lot of discipline in this campaign. But, you know, beneath it all, there's a very passionate and very clever man determined to take our country forward.
Well, the future remains unwritten, but a new chapter in UK history is upon us. Thank you so much, Mr. Thomas, for making time for us and joining us on NDTV. With that, let's turn our attention to the other big story we're tracking. China's President Xi Jinping is meeting Arab leaders this week, seeking deeper ties in a region where China does plenty of business and increasingly diplomacy too. Mr. Xi will address the China-Arab States Cooperation Forum in Beijing today, with heads of state from Egypt, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain and Tunisia among the attendees. Now, the talks will likely focus on fast-growing trade and investment and regional security concerns amid the ongoing Israel-Hamas war. Ghazali has the lowdown. He will be joining us in just a few moments, but senior officials are going to be in Beijing. Lots on the agenda for the day, as Chinese President Xi Jinping is expected to meet Arab leaders seeking deeper ties in a region where China does plenty of business. Ghazali is with us at the moment for a quick update. Ghazali, all eyes are on China's Middle East moves. Take us through what to look out for.
Oh, certainly China has been expanding its feet in the Middle East, as we saw a couple of years ago when in a strategic move, it played the role of a mediator between the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and Iran. And even in the last couple of months, it has hosted leaders from Hamas as well as Mahmoud Abbas, the Palestinian president. So in some way or the other, China is certainly trying to replace US, though most of those Arab countries who are attending this summit or the cooperation meeting here in Beijing are also US partners. They receive military aid from US. They also receive financial aid from US. But over the last couple of years, China has turned out to be the biggest trade partner of the Arab countries. They sort of import energy from Arab countries, while Arab countries import technology, computers, chips, and that is why this summit amid the tension in the Middle East is very relevant to see that how China is going to expand its feet, or what will be the China's strategy at a time when it has always supported the two-state solution in Palestine, as well as it has maintained its relations with Israel. But in the United Nations, all those summits and whenever there has to be a resolution which has to be moved against Israel or in favor of two-state solution, China has always backed Palestine. So its main aim is to show that perhaps despite all these Arab countries being trade and military partners of the United States, China is projecting itself as the chief mediator or a key mediator there in the Arab region while it is on the boil.
As always, Ghazali, thanks so much for joining us with that crucial update. Let's turn our attention to the other big story we're tracking. S&P Global Ratings has upgraded India's sovereign outlook after 10 years to positive, citing improved quality of public spending and expectation of broad continuity in reforms and fiscal policies. India's rating remains unchanged at BBB-. The agency said the country's rating could be upgraded in the next 24 months if it adopts a cautious fiscal and monetary policy. Here are the details for you.
After 14 years, rating agency S&P Global has raised its outlook for the Indian economy to positive, citing strong economic fundamentals, robust growth momentum, and government spending for its revision. The rating agency also stated that cautious fiscal and monetary policy could lead to improvement in ratings over the next 2 years. The positive outlook reflects that continued policy stability, deepening economic reforms, and high infrastructure investment will sustain long-term growth prospects as per S&P Global. Now, of course, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman also posted on X and welcomed the development. She mentioned how this upgrade reflects India's solid growth and performance and a promising economic outlook for the coming years. She also mentioned how this revision has been possible due to the series of macroeconomic reforms undertaken since 2014, and states that India is well on track to become the third largest economy in the third term of the government and become Viksit Bharat by 2047. NDTV also spoke to economists, and they were also upbeat on the outlook upgrade. Even as some felt the revision was delayed, they welcomed it nonetheless.
As always, news and updates continue on NDTV. We're stepping into a very quick break for now. Back. A new report states that climate change added an average of 26 days of extreme heat over the last year. My colleague Vishal Vivek breaks down the details.
There is no escaping climate change, as the world experienced an average of 26 extra days of extreme heat over the last 12 months, according to a report published by the Red Cross Red Crescent Climate Center, the World Weather Attribution Scientific Network, and the non-profit research organization Climate Central. The report says that almost all the world's population was affected by extreme heat days caused by human-induced climate change. The days of extreme heat would probably not have occurred without climate change, according to the report. Highlighting the ongoing extreme heat wave situation in Asia, the report says that Bangladesh, Myanmar, Nepal, Malaysia and the Philippines are affected. It has been widely reported that India too is facing an extreme weather scenario, with the mercury rising above 50 degrees in the north. Meanwhile, an extreme temperature of 48.2 degrees centigrade was recorded on 28th April in Myanmar. the highest ever in the country. The year 2023 was the warmest year since global records began in 1850. The 10 warmest years in the 174-year record have all occurred during the last decade. It is safe to say that a unified approach is needed to counter the threat posed by climate change. With Vishal Vivek, Bureau Report, NDTV.
Meanwhile, a massive volcanic eruption in Iceland spewed lava over 160 feet into the air. The crater is located in southwestern Iceland, where authorities evacuated the country's biggest tourist attraction, the Blue Lagoon geothermal spa. This actually marks the fifth and most powerful eruption in the region since December, and the eighth since the volcanic system became active 3 years ago in March 2021, after not experiencing an eruption for 800 years. And finally, Indian Army Major Radhika Sen has been selected to receive a UN award recognizing her advocacy for women and girls while serving as a peacekeeper. Sharing her experience with NDTV, Major Sen said she has always wanted to serve humanity and India. Listen in.
Thank you, Major, very much for being with us. I've actually had the opportunity of reporting from Congo in the past. I've got a bit of an idea of how difficult it is. My question to you, Major Sen, is this. Rape and violence against women in part of the Democratic Republic of Congo have been used as an implement of warfare in the region for years. Can you explain to us why it's critical for UN peacekeepers to be particularly alert to the threats that women and children face in the region?
Thank you very much for having me on your show, sir. And I would say if we talk about any conflict, it is very important that we have a gender perspective into the peacekeeping, which would help us to have an all-inclusive as well as a sustainable peace process. So in any of the conflict, it is always the women and the girls who are more affected and who face increased risk of abuse. So I would say, why should any human being suffer, right? So we as the women peacekeepers who are out there in these conflict areas, we try to reach out to these women and try to educate them about what all that is happening to them is a violence, right, for the human beings. And it is just an endeavor to tell them that whatever is happening to them is wrong, and they should make an endeavor to raise their voices and address their concerns that are there. It is just for the sake of humanity that you would want that no one should suffer, not just women and girls, but anyone, any other gender who's also a victim of the conflict. We try to address these problems.
Major, how have you engaged conflict-affected communities? How challenging was it to earn their trust?
Firstly, we always operated by going and interacting with the key leaders of the society. But over the period of time, we realized that the picture that was portrayed by the leaders was not the true picture what was there on the ground. So we started with our engagement patrols into the general local areas, into the IDP camps, the internally displaced people camp. And we started engaging with the local people also to get a true idea of how the situation is there on the ground and what do people actually think about the UN peacekeepers. And other than that, we had also involved ourselves into creating awareness about many topics that are concerned to the women, like the women health, the education on conflict, sexual violence in conflict. We have engaged with people on creating employment training. Suppose we carried out the baking, tailoring cadre for the women and English training cadre for the kids out there. So there were multiple things that we had tried to do in order to engage with people and try to extract maximum of the information that we could, which could help us to address their concerns better and direct their concerns to the right authority.
Major, you led mixed gender engagement patrols in an extremely volatile environment. Can you tell us about the nature of the threat that peacekeepers like yourself need to be prepared for, in this particular area?
Well, Congo itself gives you a very challenging environment. So the threat doesn't always come from the rebel groups. As you know, lately there has been the anti-Monusco protest, which has started since June 2022.
Meanwhile, 18-year-old Pragnananda defeated Magnus Carlsen for the first time in classical chess, that too at the world #1's home in Norway. Pragnananda managed to defeat world #1 Magnus Carlsen for the first time in a classical game late in a round 3 match at the Norway Chess, Carlsen's home tournament. Well, thank you for investing your time in watching this edition of The World 24/7. We will keep tracking the latest developments for you. Do stay tuned.